Hi everyone, this is Charlie Roschke from Roschke Designs, and today we're going to talk about color and lighting. And so color is really an everyday element for most of us. When we go about our lives, it's just there, and for that reason it's really often overlooked. But color, at least in my opinion, is probably the most impactful element of lighting we have to work with. So let's really dive into color, color theory, the rules of color, and how to break free from those rules. And so color theory is really just the basis of how we understand color and light. And there are a few ways to understand color theory, but the basis of it is it relies on three primary colors of light and the three colors that they mix. And so those three colors of light are red, green, and blue. And then those three colors contribute to a type of color theory and color mixing called additive color theory. This type of color theory is typically used by LED RGB fixtures or any variation of RGB such as RGBW or RGBA, and those just expand the color options. Additive color theory also works with conventional lights that are gels, and you can mix colors when you're pointing two lights with two different colors at the same position. As a result, additive color mixing is really a best way to get really deep colors, as the next method, subtractive color mixing, loses a lot of output when mixing really deep colors. And so the next method, as just mentioned, is subtractive color theory, and this works with the secondary colors of light, which are cyan, magenta, and yellow. That's what red, green, and blue will mix. These three colors really contribute to a type of color mixing called subtractive color theory. And then this theory really relies on the idea of subtracting wavelengths from light. And then therefore, subtractive color theory is the idea of removing those colors from white light. And this is why it's really commonly used in moving lights. And then subtractor color theory also has another method, which is just gels in general. The gel sits in front of the light source and filters out the color from the light, thus subtracting wavelengths from the light source. And then you can match many colors with RGB and CMY sources, but the funkiness comes out when you note the efficiency of such mixing. For example, let's mix a deep red. With RGB, you just bring up the red parameter, and it's great, right? Bright, rich red. But with CMY, you subtract magenta and yellow at full, and you'll get a deep red. But by that point, it won't be very bright because you've subtracted so much light to get there. For this reason, most CMY moving lights have a separate color wheel with colors such as red, Congo blue, light pink, orange, CTO, purple, and whatever other colors that particular manufacturer decided was hard to mix on their fixture. And so most moving light consoles have a few different ways to mix color. And these include a color picker, a hue, saturation, and lightness mixing, or HSL for short. Most moving light consoles also allow you to mix color with encoders, and those are just endlessly spinning potentiometers. And the most precise, however, is also the slowest. Color has a deep connection to emotion, and this is a very effective tool to express emotion in lighting. And then here's a quick general list of moods and the colors in light. These colors generally express the emotions listed, and of course this is a very simplified way of sharing moods with you, as there are so many millions of tints that each have their own character and moods. And these are also not just hard and fast rules, as green is described here as earthy and calming, but it can also represent jealousy and sickness. So really don't try to stick to these rules, just use them as guidelines. And so let's look at a couple color schemes that might help guide your lighting in scenes. And so the first one is monochromatic color schemes. As you may have guessed, monochromatic color means that there's only one color at a time in the scheme. Now, when we put it practically, monochromatic color means that we will use different shades, different lightness, different saturations of a single color on stage, but still just one color. And monochromatic color schemes are very passionate, they're very moving, and they should generally be reserved for expressly passionate songs or scenes. And then another scheme we want to look at is complementary color schemes. Complementary colors are hues which are directly opposite from one another on the color wheel. And so this includes red and green, blue and yellow, orange and purple, teal and amber. And these colors naturally look great together, and therefore are the colors that make up most like holiday colors or corporate logos. Contemporary color schemes are very balanced and don't really trigger specific emotions like monochromatic color schemes do. And then finally, we have multicolor schemes. And it's worth mentioning here, there are a billion different ways to combine colors together. The possibilities are truly endless. You can use triadic colors, which are like complementary colors, but they're in a triangle across the color wheel. A good example of this is red, green, and blue, or cyan, magenta, and yellow. Sound familiar? And then you can also have analogous color schemes, and these feature colors that are next to each other on the color wheel. Think about green and yellow, light green or teal, blue and violet, stuff like that. And then you can also have a warm and cool color scheme that features colors that, you guessed it, have a warm or cool colors exclusively. Examples include red, orange, and yellow, or blue, teal, and light blue. And then, finally, the most exciting one is rainbow. And this is just multicolor madness. And some moving lights have really fun multicolored gobos inside them that you can use to play around with this. And then all of these, though, are just general guidelines. There's no hard and fast rule in the world of lighting. You have your eye and your knowledge to discern what colors work and where these colors work. Most lighting rule books would have you believe that you always need to light people in white, and truth be told, people look really good in white. However, this isn't a hard and fast rule. You have to use your eye and judgment to see if this really applies. The rules also don't apply to which color goes with what. At this point, we've all heard that you like fast songs with red or slow songs with blue. But what if you light a slow song with red or a fast song with blue? The rules also state that you can't use green for front light as it makes people look sick. But what if they're doing a cover of something like Disturbed's Down with the Sickness? Not such a bad idea anymore. And if you're starting from the entry level of using color in your lighting, you probably shouldn't stray too much from the rules. These rules and conventional wisdom are a great way to learn and study how lighting works in your context. But as you become a more experienced designer, you will find you sometimes want to stray from these rules, and it can look really great when you do. Colors are different for every song, for every piece, for every scene, and it's all about the interpretation you feel, as long as your leadership agrees with your interpretation. And so hopefully by this point you've learned a little bit about the use of color and light. And I hope you take this knowledge and start experimenting with more color. Start out with a splash of color on a wall as backlight, and these can be really great places to start to begin to learn how your color works. And then experiment from there. As you desire, see what works best for you. Don't feel like you have to make everything in Technicolor all at once, but it doesn't hurt to try some new things. Thank you so much.